Hey guys, Steve here for Who Took My Dice. How's it going today? Welcome to the first installment in a series that's going to be looking at my burgeoning Eldar, Dark Eldar, Aeldari, Drukhari mixed army that I've been working on. Now, this one sort of started as a little bit of experiment to see if I could take old high elf bits and turn them into a Aeldari or Eldar army. And it's something I've been working on and off for a little while. We're going to be looking at the Aeldari section first. I decided to make them up as Ulthwe. Ulthwe's always been one of my favorites, going back to the original version of the 13th Crusade, where they had the codex for it. I think it had the first real Cadian army in there, Ulthwe, the 13th Space Wolf Company, and the Lost and the Damned. A whole bunch of different armies. There's a whole bunch of really cool stuff around it. But it was kind of the first time they'd ever had their own little section outside of the codex. So it always caught my imagination of these Aeldari that basically on the brink of eternal damnation all the time, since they are so close to the Eye of Terror all the time. And they rely heavily on their regular civilians, their standard sort of militias, their Black Guardians, to do the heaviest part of their fighting, because they don't really rely on aspect warriors, and they have a lot of psychers. Again, something a lot of other Aeldari look at with suspicion, because is it because they just train a lot, or is it because they're being affected by the Eye of Terror? Obviously, a lot has happened in the fluff since those days, and we finally got to see sort of a culmination of all that with the destruction of Cadia, all the other cool stuff that happened in there. But let's get down to it. This is my basic, just Ulthwe army, some cool stuff in there. And let's do this. This is my patrol detachment of Ulthwe. So we've got Azurm in there with the Bloody Twins and the Sword of Azur. My Otark with his Starglaive. My Warlocks with their Singing Spears. I just love the fact you can chuck these giant spears at people at range. Of course, the bread and butter, my Storm Guardians with their Aeldari close combat weapons and shuriken pistols. And backing everything up is a support weapon with a D-cannon there. Ulthwe, very, very cool. Their attribute works wonderfully well and is exactly them. Everyone has a 6+ invulnerable save. Everyone can ignore mortal wounds, on a 5 or 6 psychic units, such as my Warlocks. Get a +1 to the first power they use every turn. And everyone can re-roll 1 wound roll per turn because of it. Again, they can read the fates around them. And this is one of the big things Ulthwe has always been big for, is using their knowledge of the future to manipulate pretty much everyone around them. The massive battles against the orcs at Armageddon is completely because of them. They were able to manipulate the orcs into attacking that planet instead of, well, Ulthwe. Very, very cool. Black Guardians are pretty cool. I like the fact that it's basically a massive militia army. These Storm Guardians and their regular Guardians coming to the fore and standing up to save their place. Again, a lot of Psychers. That's why I went for a nice unit of them. Very, very cool. They also have the Discipline of the Storm Guardian stratagem, which gives them a boost. They have the Stormblades ability, which also gives them a boost when they're in when they're around an objective, when there's enemies there. A lot of cool stuff. Lots of re-rolls. Lots of little boosts to attacks or strength. Very, very cool. It is an army that can hit rather well, as I've tried some games now with these guys and my small Drukhari force. They can hit rather hard. There is a lot to remember with them, though. Lots of little rules here and there. Well, I mean, that's pretty much 9th edition as a whole right now. But I'm really, really happy with how they turned out in the whole. I like the fact that I was able to use a ton of high elf bits to create my own unique looking army. Other than, of course, the awesome support weapon back there, which, I mean, it does flow pretty well. That's one of the cool tricks. Even if you have models that may be completely different, which for some people is not all that uncommon, just with the amount of models and different editions they've been through. But if you pick a nice striking color scheme, which I think I've done pretty well here, it doesn't matter how different your models look. They can all sort of flow together. Now, Azerman does stand out. Obviously, he's, you know, the first of the Phoenix Lords. He had to be a bit different. I went with a nice blues and reds, put him on a nice scenic base there, make him stand out. You want him to stand out. He's a special character like that. He's got to stand out. But there it is. My Ulthwe as it stands right now. I still have to get the Farseer done. He's still gray, to my eternal shame. Eventually I'll get him done, so we have a nice powerful Farseer. Well, there you have it, guys. That is my Ulthwe army. So that's part 1 done. Ulthwe Strike Force. Made up some really cool models. There's going to be a couple more installments where I'm going to be looking at my Drukhari, because I've just started them. And then I'm actually going to combine them both to build a Ynnari army and start to see where that goes. Because it does make things a bit more complicated and a little bit different, right? It doesn't flow the same way as a normal Aeldari or Drukhari army. But until then, guys, I'll see you later. Keep rolling those dice. Bye.